Before we dive into today's episode, I have something truly special to share. Next September, I'll be leading an intimate women's retreat through the south of France and northern Italy, and you're invited. Picture this: mornings exploring the colorful markets of the French Riviera, afternoons sipping wine, and a hotel view with golden Mediterranean sunsets. Whether you love photography, food, or just want to reconnect with your playful creative self, this trip is designed for you. Spots are limited, so if all this sounds like your kind of adventure, please visit tourwithabsolutely.com and look for the tour France and Italy with Crystal. You can also send me a message or check out the show notes. Claudine Hemingway is a descendant of famed writer Ernest Hemingway. We bumped into each other at a party and decided to team up and dive deep into French history, but with a twist, by bringing a spotlight to those lesser-known creatives in France. This is History with a Hemingway. Hey guys, I'm back with Claudine, and today we have an exciting update about Notre Dame. I'll let Claudine take it from here.
And I know that every time we do this, we might say it's an exciting update, but this might be the most exciting of them all. Even more so than the opening. So just at the end of August, just a couple weeks ago, they finished the spire. The spire is finished, it is covered, and it is finally fully revealed. But the even more exciting that has just started in the last week is that you could see all of the statues again that are lining the roof. And we've talked about the statues that were on the roof for years because they were put on display in the Architecture Museum back in, I think, 2021. And we did an episode going into all of those and the history, and you could find that episode here. But to see them back on the roof and in place is pretty amazing. And I almost cried when I saw it.
I mean, it's just been fun to watch all these things happen. I mean, it wasn't fun to watch it burn down, but all this progress and all these amazing upgrades, like, it's pretty wild.
It's pretty cool to be basically on the front row of history of having this. And all I think about is, 160 years ago in 1864 and 1865, when all of this was being revealed to people for the first time that had never seen it, in the state that Viollet-le-Duc had redone it into. And we're basically, that was their whole thing. The whole restoration was to get it back to the 1864 version of Notre Dame from 160 years ago. And that's exactly what they did. So what we go in there and see is what they saw 160 years ago with modern technology, with lights.
Exactly. It's pretty wild.
It's pretty crazy. And now that we have the whole, the silhouette of the roof once again, it's pretty amazing. For so long, I would walk by there and think, oh, never again. It's going to take so long. And now the spire's back. Almost all of the scaffolding is off the roof. And you could see the statues again. We've talked about the spire before, but there was a spire there before, before even the fire. It was built in 1250. It was done by Auguste Boulot. It was removed in 1792 because it had been hit by lightning and more than a few times, and it was just dangerous. It was going to fall at some point, and somebody was going to get injured. So in 1792, you've got the revolution going on. They took it down and melted it down to be made into bullets, which, you think of a spire from the church turned into bullets isn't the nicest thing. But they took it down. Viollet-le-Duc was brought in to restore the cathedral, and he originally wanted to put 3 spires on the roof. He wanted to put one on the top of each tower, which has never been there, and then the one back into the center of the roof. And when he did the design for the spire, he did take into account that actual spire that had been there before. So while we don't have a lot of images, like very clear images, drawings of what that looked like, I guess we could imagine it's a little bit like this one. They started creating the spire, building it on July 16th, 1847. It was the day after another architect, Lassus, died. Lassus was brought in with Viollet-le-Duc to restore the church, and unfortunately died 3 years into the project. But they built the spire, went up right after He died. It was covered in lead by the Mondoui and Bichet company, which was like basically, if you look it up, it says it's a plumbing company, and they're the ones that did the covering of the statues and the spire as well. But so when we look at it today, it is the exact copy of the one Viollet-le-Duc did. There's drawings of it. You could, before you saw all those things in the Architecture Museum, I should go again and see, or maybe next time you're at the Trocadero, pop in and look to see if some of those drawings and stuff were still there. They were there for years and years, so I'm hoping they're still there. But you could see, and I've posted pictures of them many times. But they had a lot of plans and designs of what that looked like. So the statues that went kind of in the crevice of the transept coming down from the spire, those are removed by some big, I don't know, divine intervention or just massive luck. Removed on April 11th, 2019, 4 days before the fire of Notre Dame. Thank goodness, because they would have been gone forever. They were taken down to be restored, and they began pretty quickly, and that is why we got to see them as early as 2021, because they were restored and brought up to Paris. I think in 2021 I saw the two of the tetramorph, they're called, which is the four that are at the very bottom. So you have the 12 apostles and the four tetramorphs. The tetramorphs are the representation of the four evangelists that wrote the Gospels. And they had, I think it was like the eagle on display. And I just about died when I saw it, because I was like, oh my gosh, well, these used to be on the roof. But they were all restored and then brought back. The first one that was returned was just on June 23rd, and it was St. Paul. And the whole roof, all of this was covered in scaffolding. So they didn't announce in advance when they were doing this, and there would be videos of them flying through the air and being basically dropped into this sea of scaffolding. And then once they went into the scaffolding, you couldn't see them. So I kept checking all the time to see if we could see anything, and we couldn't. And then they announced at the end of July that on July 24th at 7:30 in the morning, they were going to be putting in the last statue, which was of St. Thomas. St. Thomas is also the patron saint of architects, and that is where Viollet-le-Duc put his face on this one, and it is the only one of the statues that he has his back turned and he's actually looking up at the spire. The rest of the apostles look down to the street, and St. Thomas is looking up. And so it's pretty symbolic that he was the last one, and they had announced it the night before. And so I went down, and it was kind of a chilly morning, and literally at like 7:30 it started raining. It was me and like two, what I'm guessing is maybe like photojournalists, because they had these big, huge, massive cameras, and it was just the three of us watching. There wasn't anybody else, and they had posted the night before that they were doing this in the morning, and nobody was there to see it. And it was pretty amazing to get to see St. Thomas fly through the air and into his little scaffolding bed. But when I went there the other day, and I've been going like every other day, just early in the morning to see, I about died, because it is the southwest side. All of them were, and you could see also on the southeast side, every one of the figures, including down to the tetramorph at the bottom.
That's crazy. It was just you and like a couple other people watching this, like journalists.
I'm like, this is a major moment. Where are they? Like, I literally was like so excited. I was like, oh, I found this little vantage point where I always, when I walk people outside, I will always, like, if I'm walking people around the islands, it's a great spot to get the view. And it was just, I couldn't believe it. It was just us, but it was like literally it just started pouring. I was like, you couldn't have waited 10 more minutes, but I recorded it. So I have it on my YouTube that you could watch St. Thomas flying through the air. But recently, just this literally last week, you could see there's still a little bit of scaffolding as of Saturday was last time I was there. There's still a little bit of scaffolding. The one corner, the northwest corner, it's really hard to see. You really need to stand back from the church to be able to see them well. The farther back you are, that you can see the roof, the better. But on the northwest side, it's really impossible because it's so close to all of the buildings. So you can't see. I kind of got into one little place where I could see, and I recorded it on YouTube last weekend, so could go check that out. But it was kind of hard to get to see all of them. But it's just so exciting to have them back, and just like it was before.
Yeah, and I mean, once we can get rid of those cranes, then it will be really packed. I mean, I'm so tired of cranes.
Yeah, so that's one little update is the so what they did at the end of August is they finished phase 2 and they are now starting phase 3. Phase 3 is kind of essentially what was going to be happening in 2019 before the fire. So they finished the spire. Now what they're going to do is work on the back of the church. So the chevet and work on the back and the buttresses and the sacristy. They have to redo the roof and do a lot of cleaning. Some of that stuff I hate to say, and I really don't love this. Some of this is going to go until 2028 and 2030.
Wow, that's crazy.
But when it was 2019 and they said 2024, it felt like an eternity. And so it really went fast. But what they're doing right now is on the side street. That's the Rue de Cloître Notre Dame. They finally, for a hot minute, we had the whole thing opened again, and the wall is pushed closer to the church. There was all this. They cobblestoned it. It was so nice. That lasted for a hot minute because then now what they're doing is they're tearing apart one side of the street on the north side because they are going to add in 9 trees on the street and 8 benches. And they're going to do all of this before Christmas. So they are trying to do this so it has the least effect on businesses. Those businesses on that street, I feel for them over the last 6 years because, they finally get open and now they're like, you could hardly move down the street. The other day I was trying by myself to move and like it was almost impossible and it was like 10:30 in the morning because of all of the machines and the fencing because they're going deep into the ground. And I peeked in and I was all excited because I was like, ooh, is that like from the 4th century? And it's probably from like 1970. But they're doing that. It's going to be beautiful when it's done. But in mid-October, they are going to tear apart the parve in front of Notre Dame. So that first part that they redid and redid all of the stones is going to be fine. But the whole back part, like where those bleachers are, I think those are going to be gone. They're going to start tearing all of that up, tearing out underneath, and then working on all of that. And that mostly should be done by 2028. It's going to be beautiful when everything's done because they're adding in about 140 trees and doing all this work, but it's going to be a mess before that. But it's going to be worth it, I
Yeah, I
think.
mean, we're used to it seeing a mess at this point, so
I
it'll
mean,
be all the
yeah.
updates.
It's Paris. There's always something. Another really cool thing is that the towers open this weekend. So this Saturday and Sunday are the first time you can go up on the towers. They have finished the towers. We've talked about this before. You're now going to go up the South Tower and then come down the North Tower when it was opposite before. And they've added landings in there. They've added all this information where you could see like something about the history and something about the restoration and everything. As of today, I looked because this weekend is the greatest weekend of the year, Patrimoine weekend. All the slots are filled and gone. I don't know even when they open them. I haven't seen an announcement, but I looked today and they're gone. You will definitely, if you're going to be here in Paris, definitely, and you want to do this, get a ticket in advance. The tickets are now 16 euros. Only get them from the Notre Dame website, and it's the towers itself are managed by the Monuments of France. So if you go to the Notre Dame website and get them. I looked today, the first tickets available that aren't sold out, the 24th, all the way through the end of October, and every single day had availability. So if you're coming, I would definitely recommend getting that ticket in advance. But there's been a big problem with fraudulent tickets being bought or sold through third parties. I have actually heard of people even going in there with these tickets that they bought for an incredibly insane hundreds of euros, and the tickets have been bad, had been fake tickets. So when it comes to Notre Dame, just go first thing in the morning and you could walk right in, no ticket needed. It's very simple, especially going into the winter. It's going to be even easier to just walk right in. Just be very careful, but to get the tickets for the tower, buy them in advance and make sure you buy them on the website. Are you and Giuseppe going to go do that?
I've been to the top before the fire. I mean, I loved going up there. It was amazing. I haven't been back since, obviously. But I just always worry about lines and all that stuff. So I don't know. Maybe I'll
Yeah,
wait.
I think
No.
they're going to keep it kind of small, but they just announced that Notre Dame is the most visited place in France. At the end of the year, it's projected they'll have 12 million people, which is more than the Louvre gets.
Wow. I mean, I'm not surprised because since it reopened, everybody's been like, I gotta go, I gotta go. Like,
Yeah, and the time that the Louvre is 9 miles. They get 35,000 people a day. Notre Dame gets they're saying 30,000 people a day or so. But the time that people are like the average time somebody goes into the Louvre, the average is 2.5 hours. Notre Dame, it's like 20 minutes.
yeah, no, I mean, I went with my mom and my aunt in January and it was packed, but we just did a
Yeah.
little walk around. I mean, honestly, I'm a Montmartre girl, so like I love my Sacre-Cœur and it's not as busy and it's like in my backyard.
I know my love for Saint-Sulpice has grown in other churches, like it leaps and bounds because I mean, I just was in Saint-Sulpice yesterday morning at like 8:15 in the morning. It was me and like four people, and I think those four people were all practicing and they were just singing and it was like so beautiful and there was nobody in there and I was like, "Oh, it's heavenly."
Yeah, the same with like Saint Eustache, like by
Oh, yes.
Val. I mean, that place is amazing. It's beautiful inside and it's always empty and there's always someone playing the organ. Like they do
Oh.
organ concerts all the time. It's so cool.
Yeah, Saint Eustache, Saint Etienne du Mont, like all of them. And I'm doing to Saint-Sulpice what I did to Notre Dame, and we'll do episodes about that because I'm doing research on like every single little thing. They just finished the restoration of the Saint Denis chapel, and I just was in there this morning waiting to see all of the scaffolding come down. There's definitely more scaffolding down than there was yesterday. So we'll start doing episodes about that. And because that, I think, I hate to say it, but I think that is my favorite church.
Yeah, I mean, Notre Dame, it has a history. I get it. But there's a lot of really beautiful cathedrals in Paris, and
There's,
I think even
yeah.
better than Notre Dame.
And I tell so many people that, even if you're not religious in any way, you don't have to be Catholic, you don't have to be religious at all. But I tell everybody to go because these really were the first museums because they could pay for all of this art, the church did. And then people like wealthy people, trying to get out, get into the good graces, they would commission and pay for art to be given to these churches. And so you could see the artists, Delacroix and Eustache Lesueur and Charles Lebrun, all these people. I mean, even look at in Sacre-Cœur, that mosaic ceiling is like insanity. It's so amazing.
Yeah, it's like one of the biggest in Europe, and people just
Yeah.
don't know about it. It's insane.
Yeah, people don't know about it and nobody really goes. And so that is, I just tell people like anytime you pass a church, just go inside, and just go look at it and sometimes it's just like if you're exhausted and you're tired of walking and just go sit in a church because it's quiet. And like you said, sometimes the organ's playing, sometimes they're singing and it's just beautiful and just go and Notre Dame it's hard because it is a church. It's still a church. They do mass every single day, multiple times a day, but it's a massive tourist attraction. And I think it's leaning more towards tourism than it is the church. And I think that's kind of sad at the same time. I'm not Catholic, but I think it's kind of sad because it's taking away what the building means and the story of the building and why it was created. And it's kind of turning to a little too much into just tourism.
Yeah, I feel the same. I mean, a lot of the churches, the reason I like them is because they are, a peaceful place. It's almost like you can feel the energy of all that prayer there and the quiet, and
Yeah.
like that is not what Notre Dame is anymore.
No, and I've had people say like, "Oh, when should I go? Do you think maybe in 2 years?" And I honestly don't know. I mean, not everybody that wanted to see it is coming within the first 6 months, or it's almost been a year. It'll be a year beginning of December that it reopened. I think it's going to be crazy like this for a few years.
Yeah, no surprises there. But
No
guys,
surprise.
definitely, you gotta check it out. It's like the Mona Lisa, but also know that there's a lot of other great places.
There's a lot of other, and I encourage people go in there and then go directly into another church afterwards, and especially like a Saint Eustache or Saint Sulpice, because the difference of the color of Notre Dame compared to other churches is just like amazing. And you really, like I just say, go there and then go right into another church that afternoon and just get the perspective of the two, in your mind next to each other. And it's pretty phenomenal.
Definitely. And also check out ClaudineHemingway.com to learn more. She's always over there, and you can learn through her videos and her tours as well. Thanks for listening today, guys. If you're interested in learning more about Claudine, her tours, history, and the beautiful photographs that she posts all over Instagram, tune into her website, ClaudineHemingway.com.